Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Peninsula Point, where aspiration meets possibilities. Here, we discuss various aspects about real estate and how we are trying to make a point, quite literally. Welcome, Siddharth, to another episode.
Thank you, Meet, for having me.
So, today we'll be discussing our newly launched project, which is Peninsula Estates Alibaug ONE. That's a very interesting name for a project. Can you explain to us why?
Essentially, Peninsula Estates mean estates from Peninsula Land. And all these estates, irrespective of the location they are located in, will have a common set of facets or characteristics which kind of define.
So there's a baseline that we are setting with Peninsula Estates as an offering that you will get irrespective of the location.
Oh, of course, because we're not, we've been doing real estate for a while, right? Peninsula Land, one of the first real estate companies to be listed on stock exchange. We've had several firsts credited to our name with respect to first mill land project being converted into a high-rise project, first mall in the country, etc., etc. So there is a clear thought, and like our earlier projects, which have over a period of time have delivered immense value to its residents and owners. Like that, Peninsula Estates also has a very clear defining characteristics, which will create, we strongly believe, will create strong value for the for its owners.
Right. Now, within this entire universe of Mumbai adjacent regions, when you were probably a couple of years back, when you were scouting land for Peninsula Estates, why did you choose Alibaug?
In the usual BD mode, you're looking for lands which have intrinsic unlocked value in it, right? And you're looking to unlock that value by buying that piece of land and building something on it. So that's the usual way you are tuned to, right? But little while back, I was telling you that all Peninsula Estates have a common defining characteristic, and the number one defining characteristic for that we kind of chose has to be convenience.
Okay.
So we realize that obviously our target group, our buyers, have their primary home in Mumbai. Now, if they're buying a Peninsula estate, it needs to be an offering which is convenient for them to access, convenient for them to build a home there, essentially convenient for them to be able to access that place, right? And why this word convenience kind of took shape? It all started, when I was traveling from either my home or office in various directions to scout for land, sometimes towards Alibaug, sometimes towards Karjar, sometimes towards north let's say towards Palghar side, or towards Thane side, or towards Khopoli, wherever. And I would always, after going there, when I used to come back home, I would always measure my day in terms of how easy the day was.
Correct.
Whether I felt too tired just reaching there, whether the whole journey was so tiresome that the next day I wasn't really up for a regular office day. I would always measure my own, my own time spent in that day in terms of degree of convenience. Because, one of the most common management principle about, unlocking value for stakeholders is, you try to keep it simple. Right. Don't try to overly complicate the things. And in real estate, things which are convenient to access generally tend to create more value for their residents. And traveling to Alibaug just felt easy. Now with RoRo becoming operational, coastal road that's come up, gateway has become easily accessible. So from gateway, one can take a speedboat. So either you go to the RoRo terminal and take a RoRo, or you go to the gateway and take a speedboat, and 20 minutes by a speedboat, 50 minutes by a RoRo, you are at Mandwa. In the early days when I was going there alone, and I would fix up, office would know that I'm in Alibaug. So the natural expectation is that now whatever meeting I have would be the next day, but I would end up scheduling a meeting at 3:30 or 4 p.m. They would just assume that I'm working over hard, and I didn't correct their assumption. I was like, yeah, let them assume I'm working over hard. But it was, like I said, Alibaug just became convenient. If I was to have an estate in 90 minutes from where I stay, now that, and then, this is land, right? So which means I could build a whole bungalow on it, and it's like so close to Mumbai. At some point in time, it is but natural that a lot of people would start seeing that it's basically an extension of Mumbai. And as time would pass by, it would definitely get amalgamated in the city.
So on that point, what you mentioned, that land. Now Alibaug has been in news for more than 12 months now. There are enough and more developments, developers coming, creating different kinds of products there. Can you explain to us why the location that has been chosen and why land specifically?
So I think I would carry forward from a previous response that I think Alibaug as a location has just become much more easier to reach to, and that is happening on the back of so many infrastructure initiatives that some have happened, some are in the works, and they all collectively, it's not one or two things, there's a host of them. So of course, you take Coastal Road, like I was saying, and you reach to Gateway, which means you've connected the entire western suburbs to Gateway via the Coastal Road, and then via Gateway you could take a speedboat and be there in Alibaug. That's one. Second is Ro-Ro is available throughout the year for you to take your own vehicle in and get to Alibaug. Then Atal Setu.
Yes.
Okay. You take Atal Setu, and right now while you go via Pen to Alibaug, but you also have an upcoming Revas-Karanja bridge which will further cut short the time. So Atal Setu has already cut short the time, but after Atal Setu they're building a very important connector called the Revas-Karanja bridge. If you next time you go Alibaug, you can spot the pillars in the sea, right? It's already under construction. So the Revas-Karanja bridge will further shorten the time by road. Even right now, from where we are sitting, if I was to check on maps, right now, even without Revas-Karanja, it will show our side at Alibaug nearly 2 hours 5 minutes from where we are.
Right.
And with Revas-Karanja, it's going to further get shortened.
Right.
So actually now, while I'm saying that, I'm thinking that I'm probably going to take more time today to reach home from here than I would take if I was to leave for Alibaug.
Right.
Now and while speaking I realize that, but that's actually true, and that's something that's transformational in my view. It means that I could right now from here leave and stay in a bungalow kind of an environment, something which is next to impossible for a Mumbaikar, right?
When conversations on Alibaug are ongoing, people are talking of Alibaug, but Alibaug in itself is very vast. Yep. Right? It starts with Mandwa and goes all the way south. What I want to understand is the location that we've chosen. What's so special about it?
So while I was scouting lands in Alibaug, and from Mandwa, Dokavade, Avas, Girard, Chondi, Sogaon, and like that, there is we kind of drew an kind of an imaginary circle for ourselves, where we said we'll do this 20-minute circle from the Mandwa jetty and whatever locations fall in that, because we don't want to go beyond 20 minutes, because if we do that, then either by sea or even by a road, we are crossing the 2-hour time barrier, right, which we didn't want to cross. Because if it takes you more than 2 hours to reach a place, you tend to plan for it. And we specifically wanted an estate where one doesn't really have to plan too much. Like right now, for example, if if I had a bungalow at Peninsula Estate, Alibaug, and my home is in Andheri, if we were having this conversation, let's say 3 years from now, in future, I can actually decide, where do I go? Yeah. Do I go to the bungalow or do I go to the flat?
Yeah, that is a 100% Friday evening decision to be taken.
So then we defined this 20-minute circle, and this circle then we aligned with how the infrastructure initiatives are happening, like I told you about. So one is obviously around the Mandwa jetty, right? So the Ro-Ro and all lands there. Then you have Revas-Karanja bridge coming up. And then if you connect these 2 points, you will see that there is actually like a U-shaped corridor, right? Which is within this 20-minute, everything is within the 20-minute, and this U-shaped corridor is very, conveniently connected to, the connectivity points from Mumbai.
Right.
And that's how we kind of defined a belt for ourselves. And before we move on to the next thing that you have, one thing I would like to add, that when you define such strict criteria, because we didn't want to violate the whole basic tenet of convenience, actually, the search results after applying these filters was always 0. Which meant that what I'm trying to say is, it's not like there was readily available 10, 12 acres, 15 acres of land which we could acquire and then do a gated community and then sell it to people as estates. It wasn't naturally available, which means you have to curate it by aggregating multiple pieces of it,
Right.
which in itself is a very time-consuming, tedious, and a very, for the want of a better word, laborious task.
On that location, you're talking of a co-primary home. Convenience can be defined in various aspects. One that you very well defined is time, but it should also have a supporting social infra. So, what is it that is available in that area, or what is it that is being planned in the project to enable a co-primary living?
Firstly, I didn't give that word co-primary. That word came in after you started going there and you started feeling that, okay, this could be my...
That's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So firstly, it's a word that's not come out of, it's not like a company promoted word. It's a word that's come out of what your own natural feeling was, that, oh, this could be my primary home, right? And
yes.
Which is, I think, what the intrinsic value of Peninsula Estates is. But coming quickly to your question on social infra, one thing you got to understand about value, and my mind is taking me to, one of the famous, one of the famous stories by Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett, I'm going to digress for a few seconds and I'll come connected to the point, connected to the answer to your question. So Warren Buffett once in the lift of his building, going from his apartment to the lobby, the lift man asked him that, sir, should I buy this stock? Everyone says it's got good value in it. Should I buy this stock? Warren Buffett looked at the lift man and he nodded his head, looking like you should, but whatever. He went back up to his apartment. He called up his broker and he sold his entire stake in that company. And what he said in that story is that, no offense, but if my liftman also knows that you have to buy this stock, it means everyone who wanted to buy this stock has bought the stock and now it's only on its way down. So he sold off his entire stock, because if the liftman only knows that, this should be bought. So which means that value is usually unlocked, or you realize maximum value when minimum people have seen it. But if there's enough evidence and enough proof and enough conviction and you get into that curve early enough, is when you lock in immense value, right? What this means is that if you see that there are 10 things coming up in Alibaug, but it's gonna be ready in a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then this is the right time to then be on. Right now it's at station 1, right? By the time it's already ready and people have already moved in and started using it, then you would be entering at station 5 or station 10, right? So you unlock maximum value when you get in on station 1. So now what's happening today, right now, which is yet to be come up in a way wherein you will access it, but it's already happening. There are hotel and resorts coming up, much more than what was existing prior. Prominent 7-star chains who have acquired land and building a resort. A lot is happening.
Okay, Siddharth. So I think you've established very well on why Alibaug, why the location. Now let's discuss the project. The plot sizes here are approximately 2,500 square foot or more. Why that particular sizing?
Good question. I think we discussed about the first defining characteristic of Peninsula Estate, which was convenience and time to reach. We established that. The second characteristic in Peninsula Estates is that whatever estate we offer, we're having a particular target group in mind,
yes.
Right? And I think we're conscious that we're not trying to sell the price, we're selling the product. In land, many times you're selling the price. It doesn't make care, people don't care where the land is. And these are people who are already staying in an 8 crore, 10 crore to 15 crore kind of an apartment, maybe a 3 BHK of a 1,500 to 1,800 square feet kind of size. They're already staying in that 1,500, 2,000 square feet size of apartment, right? So if you're staying in a 1,500, 2,000 square feet of carpet area apartment in Mumbai, if that's your primary home, then we have to design, we have to give them an estate where you can build a bungalow which is at least 2 times of this.
True.
So if you're already staying in a 1500 to 1000 square feet apartment, we said that you should be able to have a carpet area of 2500 to 3500 square feet plus open terrace plus the front yard and the rear yard, right? So if you do a 2500 square feet plot, and if one was to build a G+2 bungalow there, you can generate a carpet area of roughly 3600 square feet. Plus you will have your terrace and your front garden and the rear garden as roughly 2300 square feet of open spaces.
Wow.
So essentially what you're doing is you're generating like 5800 square feet of usable area, 3600 inside the bungalow, and that's it. I'm obviously doing rough math, 3600 square feet inside the bungalow and 2200 square feet outside the bungalow as open space. That much amount of usable area you can generate if you were to have a 2500 square feet of plot. We felt that this is the bare minimum usable area that a particular size plot should be able to generate for this particular target.
So 3 to 4x of the usable area what they are currently staying in.
Correct.
At least.
At least. I think in the usable area, I would say the terrace and the open and the front garden and the rear garden are just the ancillary benefits that you should get from a horizontal living.
Yeah.
So let's break that into 2 parts. One is the open spaces, which you must get if you're going in a location like Alibaug today in 2026. If you are buying in, if you are in 2036, you will definitely have to buy apartments in Alibaug too.
So in that context, it's a rare offering.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I would say that it's an offering which is, we're at that point of, it's like we're at that inflection point where Alibaug, at least within this most premium part of Alibaug, which is the U-shaped corridor or the 20-minute circle, is already transitioning from a horizontal living to vertical living.
Right. Yeah.
So in that sense, 100% rare. It's wherein it's probably one of the very rare opportunities to have horizontal living.
Now, for our consumers that you said, they are always short on time, and you're solving that one problem of acquiring land. They will obviously want to build something there, and that in itself is also quite tedious. Is Peninsula planning to assist them somehow in that aspect too?
Oh, 100%. I mean, goes without saying that what you're buying is raw material.
Right.
Right. What we do realize, so of course, right now Peninsula Estates is about selling you the raw material.
Yeah.
So, for the want of a better example, it's like we've given you, right now you're buying ingredients from us to cook your own dish. Now the flexibility whether you want to cook your own dish or you want us to come and help you cook it up rests with you. Which means if somebody wants to build their bungalow their own way, they are free to do so. But if you're short of time and you don't want to do that and you want us to build a bungalow also for you, we are providing that as a separate service. So we're calling this program as Peninsula Assist. And not only building, I think if you want to capitalize on some capital gains on the land acquisition and you want us to sell later on, we can assist you to sell. We can assist you to build a bungalow. We can assist you to rent a bungalow. We can offer you concierge services with respect to booking, booking a speedboat, booking Doro. It's like a typical concierge service. So essentially, we do want to, we do want to assist, our home buyers in not only buying the ingredients, but later on, when they're using those ingredients to build a life for themselves, we will be offering them whatever assistance they might need.
Right. Amazing. So Siddharth, you've explained to us the project. Now, in 30 seconds for our audiences, why Peninsula Estates Alibaug ONE? Okay.
So that's a tough and easy one both. Tough because you didn't give me a heads up, but easy because it's intuitive to me. So I think if you're somebody who's had the regrets that you've missed out on growth opportunities in the past, you should have, if you feel like, okay, I should have bought land there or I should have bought an apartment there. I had an opportunity, but I didn't buy at that point in time. Look where it has gone. If you're somebody who falls in that in that category, then this is one such opportunity coming your way. You should just be able to realize it. Or if you're somebody who always is having this lingering feeling that if you had more space, you would have done something. It's like, if I had more space, I would have probably had a pet. If I had more space, I would have practiced this hobby. If I had more space, I would have had a separate room for, like a family lounge or something. So if you're always having these thoughts, then again, this is one of such offering giving you that. And if you fall in either of these two categories, then I think you need to visit us at Peninsula Estates Alibaug ONE sales office. And that's the Peninsula point.
Super. So with this, we end today's episode. Thank you, Siddharth, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.